Three, two, one.
And action.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Untitled ZX, also known as Movie Talk with Uncle Frank and Nick here. Nick, how's everything going?
I'm alive. Take that for
Okay.
what you will.
Did you get your 30-page paper done?
It's a script, not a paper. There's no page limit, and no.
You didn't do it?
I wrote 3 pages.
Are you going to get in trouble?
Nope, this professor doesn't do his job.
All right.
Which means I don't
Good
have
to
to either.
hear. And how was your weekend? Did you get to spend time with your new puppy?
Yep.
And what are your impressions of the new puppy?
Am I supposed to judge the dog like a movie?
You can. Yeah. What did the dog do well? And what does the dog not do well?
What does the dog do well? And what doesn't it? Well, I would prefer it if it didn't bite me, but
That's a puppy. It hardly hurts.
yeah, let's just hope that the other dog doesn't teach it her bad habits of still biting with a full set of teeth.
Yeah. Well, I saw your puppy as well, and he's very cute. And I like it. You know why I like your new puppy?
Because it's small and can't jump on you.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good. Well, we better get to it. We have a packed agenda today, it seems. So
Yeah, so they cut
we're
it
gonna
down a
spend a
lot.
little bit of time on CinemaCon.
Big event.
We got a couple movie reviews we're gonna talk about, and we've also got some Star Wars time going with Maul and some information about the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yes.
So. Why
Yeah.
don't we get started right away? First of all, what is this Star Wars celebration going on?
So Star Wars Celebration is a Star Wars convention that occurs. It's not like Comic-Con, your conventional Comic-Con. I mean, it is, other than the way it's sort of distributed. It's not like New York Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con, where it happens at the same general time of year, the same place every year. Star Wars Celebration isn't annually, and it's never in the same place. This one is a big deal because this is going to be in Los Angeles in April of 2027. It's going to be the first one in the United States in 5 years because in 2025 it was in Tokyo, in 2023 it was in, where was it? In London, I believe. And they seem to be doing biannually now, every other year, because they've been
Hmm.
since 2023. Um, but the key art for it was revealed, which I'll throw up on screen when I'm editing this in 5 days. But tickets pre-sales also go up on May 6th. We have a little bit of details about the tickets. Moral of the story, they're expensive. I mean, for what
How
it's worth,
much?
they're I think for the full 4-day weekend, it's like $270 for tickets. Little hefty, but not terrible for a convention that's.
Yeah, for 4 days, that's not too bad.
Yeah, there's a deluxe package too that comes with like first in line passes and like
Yeah,
first dub dibs on like the celebration, like exclusive merchandise, and on like a
yeah.
lot of the photo ops and like guaranteed access to the panels. That adds another $800 to it, which is not which, I mean, I guess for the benefits included it's reasonable, but like no sane person's going to pay that much. They're going to do what they can because odds are a lot of people going there are not from the area. So they're going to be paying for flights and hotels and God knows how much other things they're going to buy there because there's going to be a lot to buy.
Well, compared to the flights and everything, it might be cheap to buy the tickets. So, are you going? You gonna go, Nick, or you don't know yet?
I'm going to start saving up once I get a real job that isn't a campus job that I work 2 nights a week because that's not going to get me even remotely close to enough.
No, you need more.
I mean,
All
for the
right,
tickets alone, it'll be fine, but
all
for
right.
every.
Well, good. All right, looking forward to more about that. All right, CinemaCon news. Now, I understand there was a ton of news,
There was a
but
lot of news. We cut down a lot.
yeah,
A
tell me
lot.
the best five pieces of news you got that you're excited about.
All right, these are the things that sort of stood out to me the most, that interest me. These are not in like any particular, actually they are in a particular order, which panel they appeared in, but
All right, let's go. What's first?
we're going to start with sort of the highlight of Sony's panel is we got a few more details on the third and final installment of the Spider-Verse trilogy, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which was ridiculously delayed over the course. That's had a very tenuous development history. It was announced as Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, alongside Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 before they dropped Part 1 from Across the Spider-Verse and renamed this to Beyond the Spider-Verse. It was
Hmm.
initially slated to be, this is an animated film. It was originally set to be developed and released pretty closely with Across the Spider-Verse, which came out in June of 2023. The
Hmm.
originally attached release date for this film was March 29th, 2024, but that's a sort of a bizarre. I'm pretty sure it was just a miscommunication between Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the producers, and Sony's executives, who they're like, okay, so you announced this as part one and part two, right? Which means you're going to be able to release them pretty close together, right? And they were like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. But
So when does this movie come out?
June 18th, 2027 is now the release date.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of poetic, actually. The first film came out on the day of my high school graduation, and this is going to come out the month after my college graduation, which is kind of crazy to think about. I didn't
Yeah.
go to my high school graduation because I went to high school online, but I did see Across the Spider-Verse in theaters opening day,
Nice.
as
You'll see
one
this
should.
one too, I assume, in opening day.
Absolutely. But the most exciting thing that we learned about this film at CinemaCon, because we knew the release date already, but the thing that sort of stands out here is um, they revealed a couple new screenshots from the movie. We got one depicting Miles and his father. We got one depicting Miles' father, Jefferson Davis, and his uncle Aaron Davis, aka the Prowler, and like their youth in a flashback. There was a third one, and I don't remember what it was. And then the fourth one depicts Miguel O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099 with Miles in a chokehold, which seems like his go-to move against Miles.
Okay. This should be
Um,
interesting.
but the most exciting thing they revealed is that the film is being animated with the 1:43 aspect ratio, which is expanded for IMAX 70 millimeter screens.
Hmm.
And not many films are shot or, in this case, animated with that aspect ratio. So they are going all in for the premium formats. They're designing this for the biggest screens you could possibly imagine. And 70 millimeter auditoriums are no joke. There are less than 20 of them on the planet.
Okay. Well, and where's the nearest one? New York, I assume?
There's one in King of Prussia and there's one in New York.
Okay.
Um, I
All
do
right.
intend to
Something to look forward to.
go out to it for this film as well as for Dune Part 3, to
Yeah.
one of the two I listed.
All right. Tell me next piece of big news.
This wasn't, I think this was shown off privately and then released online a couple hours later, but they showed off the first trailer for Godzilla Minus Zero, which is a sequel to 2023's Godzilla Minus One, which was the first Godzilla film I ever saw. Pretty solid starting point since, for all intents and purposes, it was a reimagining of the original 1954 film.
Hmm.
This is a Japanese one, not one of the cruddy American ones that aren't very good. But the teaser did not really give us much in terms of story. It showed us the teaser was maybe 40 seconds long. We got a little bit of footage. We saw Godzilla in his evolved form, some new evolution of his. So he's quite a bit bulkier than he was in the previous film. Um, and most notably is the first film took place in predominantly in Japan. It
Hmm.
was post-war Japan, so right after World War II.
Hmm.
Again, a reimagining of the original film in which Godzilla was meant to symbolize sort of the repercussions of nuclear weaponry.
Right.
So we do a lot of that in the previous film, although despite Godzilla being in the title, it's very much more driven by sort of the characters, because in the big American movies, they try to make like Godzilla and King Kong the main characters. And it's like they're not that interesting. They're cool to watch stomp around for a little bit, but it's like you don't care about them. They're big monsters that are cool to watch for a little bit.
Yeah. You got to have a story around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one, it focused on this pilot who s- witnessed Godzilla's first rampage and then comes back home after the war to find his hometown in ruins from the nuclear attacks. And to make matters worse, Godzilla shows up and starts wreaking havoc. Um,
That's a rough day.
Yeah, but in the sequel, we see at the very end of the trailer, we see a shot of Godzilla walking next to the Statue of Liberty, which means Godzilla is going to give the Americans a taste of their own medicine. This film's
Okay.
actually being shot with IMAX in mind as well. It was recently confirmed, which is exciting.
How do they not have a movie with IMAX? I mean, it seems like every movie has to have, unless you're like a little tiny drama, you gotta have IMAX.
The American Godzilla films have been released in IMAX, but that's because they've been these huge budget blockbusters. The Japanese ones, not so much. Minus
Yeah.
One had a budget of less than $10 million. It
Hmm.
made over 100 million, so obviously it was doing well enough and it sort of blew up. Like the Japanese Godzilla movies don't get a crazy amount of mainstream attention
Yeah.
overseas, but Minus One was a sleeper hit worldwide. I believe it even won Best Visual Effects at the Oscars, which was the first time in 70 years that a Godzilla film won anything at the Oscars. So
Yeah.
it gained a lot more mainstream attention than the smaller budget Japanese Godzilla movies do. So obviously they're upping the budget quite a bit with this one and shooting it with premium formats in mind.
All right, let's keep going. Third piece of news.
We I already named dropped it a little bit ago, but Doom 3. Nothing was shown off publicly, no public footage, but attendees at CinemaCon were shown the first 7 minutes of the film.
Whoa.
And it's obviously unfinished. Shooting only wrapped a couple of months ago, and the film's not out till December, but
Hmm.
the opening sequence was shown to attendees, which it's been described as being a large-scale battle sequence. So, as I sort of suspected, knowing that we were going to see footage of Paul's jihad in the film,
Right.
led me to believe we were going to see a lot of that early on in the movie. And
Hmm.
I am correct in that it seems like the opening scene is going to show a large battle with Stilgar leading Paul's armies against Muad'Dib's enemies.
Okay.
Interestingly, Denis Villeneuve describes the film at the con. He described it as a more fast-paced, action-packed, emotional thriller, which is not something I expected for an adaptation of the small-scale political espionage book Dune Messiah. But I think he's deviating from the source material a lot more, which I know a lot of purists are not going to like, but I think it sort of works because this book is sort of dependent on it's a very small scale book, and there's some things that just will not work, particularly involving the character of Chani, who is, like I said, not much of a character in the books.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
think having this be action packed is what kind of caught me off guard because the thing with the books, they completely skip over the Holy War or the Jihad. It's not shown at all. The first
Hmm.
book ends leading right into it. Second book starts after it's over with the lasting repercussions. But this, we are going to get to see the war on screen. We are going to see it, but we are also going to see something resembling an adaptation of Messiah, since Messiah's primary antagonist, Sightale, is going to be in the film portrayed by Robert Pattinson. Um,
All
having
right.
read those first two books, I do need to read the rest of them, but I've read the first two, and this is based on Messiah, the second book. I am actually beyond stoked because even though I know the basic idea of I know what happens in the book, I still have no idea what they're going to do with this because
Yeah.
obviously taking a lot of creative liberties, which for some filmmakers that'd be a questionable thing, but for someone who's as talented and capable as Denis Villeneuve, that's just ridiculously exciting.
Did you didn't you were gonna try to see this one in 70 millimeters?
That's the plan.
How are you gonna get tickets for that?
I'm gonna buy them when they go. I mean, there's a couple street show times that already have tickets up for some reason,
Hmm.
which they did something similar with the Odyssey, in which the Odyssey's first show times had tickets up a full year in advance.
Oh
That
wow.
reminds me, no one really needs to drop a new trailer for that. But
Hmm.
they did the same thing with Dune a couple of weeks ago, where some of the show times that opening weekend in 70 millimeter are already up, which is
Yeah.
kind of bizarre, but I don't think those are the only show times. Those are only the evening show times. More of the daytime, afternoon ones, I think, will go up closer to release.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
again, we're just gonna. buy them on the Regal array. I'm hoping that I
You're
can
gonna have to get lucky, I guess.
maybe. Well, it's not necessarily luck, it's really just timing. More people are
Yeah.
going to go to the evening showings because more people are crazy.
Yes. All right, let's keep going. Next news.
So this one we weren't sure if we were going to see this, but we just the other week, like literally a week before CinemaCon, we got the announcement that the long-awaited Spaceballs sequel had been given a release date of April 23rd, 2027. So just about a year, almost to the day, actually. It'll be to the
Yeah.
in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Um, but they unveiled the title for the film. It's n- un in the original movie, they promised us that they would return in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. That is not the title of this one, because according to Mel Brooks, they found the money. So this is just called Spaceballs, the new one.
No.
Very innovative name. Although I do think this could be playing on sort of the time, sort of, you've got older people who are more like not interested in film that much. They'll see a new installment of a franchise and they'll just call it the new one instead of the title of the movie. So I could see them play, I could see this
That's
being.
that's what I would call it. If anybody said, you'd be like, "Have you seen Spaceball? Have you seen the new Spaceballs? The new one?" Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're playing into that. But
I like it.
the cast is still, I mean, we knew the cast for a while, but they're getting Rick Moranis out of retirement for it.
That's big. Yeah.
Bill Pullman's returning alongside his son Lewis Pullman, who
Hmm.
previously starred in Marvel's Thunderbolts and Top Gun
Hmm.
Maverick. Um,
Okay.
yeah, no, Josh Gad's in it for some reason. He also co-wrote the script, but
Did he?
yeah, Mel Brooks
Well,
is reprising his role as both Yogurt and President Scroob, even though he's 99 years old. He'll be 102 months.
that's so crazy.
He's not writing or directing it, but he is credited as a producer and he's still acting in it. So he's still involved.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He he was the one who announced the title. They had a little like minute-long video where he explains why the title is the title he chose.
Yeah,
And it's like for 99 years old, he's in pretty good condition too. He's in pretty good shape.
it's amazing. All right. Do we know anything about what it's going to be about or not yet?
They showed a trailer privately. Um, we don't know much about the actual plot, but it looks like one of them they're parodying Star Wars: The Force Awakens is a heavy parody with there's a character who supposedly looks pretty heavily inspired by Rey in the trailer. They
Okay.
parody Avatar a little bit as well. Supposedly a there's supposedly I remember that someone described a scene of Dark Helmet in like a restroom at like a urinal, and right next to him is one of the Na'vi from Avatar, and he says, "I see you." Supposedly Dark Helmet's got a new helmet that looks more reminiscent to Kylo Ren's as well,
All right, right, right,
which you know what, fitting. I don't think it gives away too much of the story. I think Josh Gad plays Barf's son.
right. Right.
Lewis Pullman obviously plays Lone Star's son because Lone
Hmm.
Star is actually his dad in real life, but
Yeah.
not much in the realm of plot, but it looks like it's going to parody a lot of more modern like sci-fi and pop culture and franchise stuff in general.
Well, I think a parody doesn't have to worry about plot so much as it does
True.
one-liners. So, yeah.
I mean, the first one still had a pretty straightforward, like it had a point A and a point B. It had a plot. It was a basic plot and it wasn't its main focus, but there was still a plot.
I'm sure this will have something, but yeah. All right, let's keep going. What else?
The last thing I wanted to talk about, I mean, other than Mando and Grogu, but we'll discuss that a little bit later because I want to go more in depth in that, is we saw the first trailer for The Dog Stars, which is an apocalyptic sci-fi film starring Jacob Elordi, Margaret Qualley, and Josh Brolin. I had no idea what this is until like a month ago, and then it's like I did a little bit of research. Turns out Ridley Scott's directing it, and I said, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
The trailer gives a little bit of the plot. I don't think it gives away too much, but you know, it looks like a movie that I enjoy watching. It's apocalyptic sci-fi, sort of involves like humanity goes. extinct or almost extinct, and you've got this guy, Jacob Elordi, is the protagonist. Him and his dog, who's like the only one he has left, are trying to find more people who are still alive, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know. I didn't
When's this come out?
August 28th. We didn't
20
get
of
much
this year?
this year, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get much in terms of I didn't pick up much in terms of like deep story stuff in the trailer, but you know what? That's okay. I'm going into this mostly blind anyway.
All right. Then we'll put on the list. Any news we were disappointed by or
I do wish they had a little more to say about the Batman Part 2, which has been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. The film was originally slated to release on October 1st, 2025. Then it was delayed to October 2026, and then again to October 2027. Um,
yeah. All right.
there's
Has it been
been
filmed or do we know anything about? Has it been
there
filmed yet?
there's been a lot of casting rumors, but going around with Sebastian Stan joining the cast as Harvey Dent, as
Mm.
Scarlett Johansson joining the cast as well.
Mm.
There's been a lot of casting rumors about the character of Christopher Dent, who's Harvey Dent's father. There were a lot of rumors that they'd thought about. Stellan Skarsgård was approached for the role. Daniel Craig was rumored at one point. I don't, they just cast him. They finally locked someone in for him. I don't remember who, but I'm pretty sure he was in Game of Thrones.
Mm.
Uh, Production is presumably supposed to start soon in the summer.
Yeah.
It comes out fall 2027 now.
Yeah.
So it's been delayed a lot. They didn't have anything really to add that we didn't already know
Okay.
at CinemaCon. They acknowledged that it existed, at least at the end of Warner Bros. Panel. They mentioned it, which is,
Mm.
you know what? Sure, we'll take the win. Well, they acknowledged its existence. That's something, I guess. We'll take the win. We'll take the win.
All right. Well, maybe after if they start production, I'll bet some more news comes out. But yeah.
Yeah. Here's hoping. I want to see
All
it.
right. Well, sounds like a lot of good news coming out. I know there's more news than that, so maybe we can talk about other stuff later. But let's get into some of the movie reviews here. So, Hamlet,
This is,
you just saw this, right?
yeah, well, the week before, but yes.
Yeah. All right. Tell me what tell me about it.
So this is kind of interesting. It's a modern reimagining of its namesake, the Shakespeare play. Um, but it's set in the South Asian community, the like aristocratic South Asian community of London.
Okay.
It stars, most importantly, Riz Ahmed is the star of the film, who's previously been in films such as I've seen him in The Reluctant Fundamentalist and Rogue One are probably the things that come to mind.
Hmm.
He's in Venom too. I mean, that wasn't very good, but he was there. So he leads this as the title character. Um, he's great. He's pretty good. I mean, he's never really not good. There were a couple other people in the cast. I don't remember how to pronounce one of the names. That Timothy Spall's in there. He was in the Harry Potter movies. He was that guy that was the rat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's also this guy named Joe Alwyn who, being in this movie, is really funny because he was also in Hamnet back in December. So
Mm.
evidently he's got a thing for Shakespeare. Um,
Okay.
this
So, what did you think? What they do? What was good?
so this was a pretty solid movie. I don't think it's going to be one that's going to like blow my mind or anything, but I enjoyed it for the most part.
Okay.
Even if it was initially a little difficult to follow along because the thing that I did not know going into it, I watched no marketing for this. I mean, I knew it existed like a week and a half before it came out.
Hmm.
So when I went to see it, I went in knowing basically nothing about it. No
Okay.
trailers, no nothing. But the thing that caught me off guard is despite the modern setting, they actually committed to using the old like Shakespearean form or version of English in the film.
Yeah.
Or at
That
least
makes it tough to follow.
I guess it wasn't fully committed to that style because it felt like a modernized version of it to an extent.
Yeah.
Not quite proper modern English, but it felt like sort of a bridgeway between them, like a toned down version.
Uh-huh.
Like they weren't using like crazy Shakespeare words, like crazy like thou and thart or whatever the words are. They were
Right.
using more so it was still mostly like modern dot. It was mostly modern terminology
Okay, so
incorporated.
it wasn't a problem following along or like,
Yeah, it was a little hard to follow like individual moments, but like the plot was still pretty easy to follow,
okay.
despite everything, just from visual cues and context clues. It's like, yeah, you got it. It's pretty straightforward. Guy's dad dies, then dad's brother wants to marry his mom, and then he learns that his dad's brother may in fact have killed his dad. So he goes on his quest for revenge, pretty basic, pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
And that quest for revenge drags him to places he'd rather not go to, that leads him sort of destroying his life in the process, which is why it is a tragedy. Um,
So yeah, all right. So what could besides the English, anything else you would have done better or would have liked to have seen?
um, the combination of that style of language with the more modern setting was a little off-putting. Side note, it's very funny. He does the whole to be or not to be speech while he's driving in his car drunk,
Oh my God.
which is I actually don't actually think he was drunk. He was just driving ridiculously fast on like the highway. Doing like 120 on the freeway. To be or not to be, that is the question.
Oh my God.
Which honestly had me laughing a bit in the theater, which I know it's meant to be like a dramatic tragedy, but like he was going like 130 on the freeway and he starts going off to be or not to be.
So what kind of rating would you give it?
Like a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. It's just something I'll probably end up lowering over time. The more I have time to think about it, which I have not had much time to think about much of anything lately, but
Yeah.
we've had enough time to compile these attempts at thoughts.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if I can get through the old English part, so I'll probably be down low on my list of things to go see. But all right, let's talk about another one you went to go see, The Mummy.
Yes, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. For what it's worth, the name of this movie, actually, I'm not going to get into that yet because that ties into a point I had later.
Hmm.
It's directed by Lee Cronin.
Okay.
It's the name of the movie is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I'd hope so.
Yeah. It's kind of
Uh,
weird to put your own name in the title too.
I don't think he intended that. Again, I'll just address that a little later because there's a point I wanted to mention.
All right.
Um, it's not really a great adaptation. It's not real. It's meant to be a modern reimagining of The Mummy, but it really isn't much of an adaptation of The Mummy. Um, so like if you dropped the Mummy title, which was considered at one point, test screenings were received very poorly because people went in expecting a Brendan Fraser like Indiana Jones type adventure and not this very gnarly, very graphic violent. Like I mean, it was kind of repulsive at times in terms
Really?
of the violence, and sometimes it felt like it was a little much like just gore for gore's sake. But I do think it did help serve. So I didn't even talk about the premise yet, did I? But the premise of this film sort of is you've got this couple who their daughter is kidnapped by some like crazy person worshiping like a Egyptian demon or something and mummifies her. And then 8 years later, she's found because two of the idiots in the cult crashed a plane while trying to transport her. But
Oh, really?
they
Okay.
find her. She is like very messed up because she has been mummified and possessed by Egyptian Satan,
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
and not to mention severely malnourished and lack of light exposure. Like the actress who portrays the daughter is exceptional. She does just the little mannerisms to sort of remind you that she is not fully human. This character is not human anymore. Like the way she was moving, you genuinely were like, you had to double take. You're like, no, that's a person doing all of that. This is all a human being with ridiculous amounts
Hmm.
of makeup and prosthetics, obviously. But like,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
So, what was the name of the actress that played the daughter?
Natalie Grace was her name. She has not been in much, but
Yeah.
she's again kind of insane because like like I said, this isn't really that much of a mummy film. I'd almost say it's more like an Egyptian version of The Exorcist, but
Yeah. So what do you think was good about the movie then?
um I like the dynamic between the main family. We have the father who is sort of the main character we follow, his wife who is probably more compelling than he is, even if she's a little misguided at times. They've got two other kids other than the daughter who was kidnapped. And then we've got the crazy grandma too for funsies.
And those people are not mummies. They're not mummified. Only the daughter is.
Yes, she was
Yeah.
vanished. She vanished without a trace, and the police could not find any leads on her when they were staying in Egypt for the dad had gotten a news job there or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And so they so they find their daughter, and that's when it gets crazy.
yeah, because at first they're, for what it's worth, they might be a little bit stupid because if they looked at her and they're like, yeah, she's just malnourished and in shock, and I'm like, there is definitely, obviously, very clearly more wrong with her at the moment than that.
Right.
It's like there's definitely, and she just pops up. There's no like leads or anything to where she came from or what happened to her. It's like
Yeah.
there's no evidence towards that. She just sort of they mysteriously find a random freaking 3,000-year-old sarcophagus in the middle of like a plane crash, and she's just there. It's like nobody thought to like investigate this further until the dad sort of yelled at them to start investigating it further because he's
Does
like,
make me
I don't even
question,
know.
but I guess if they yeah, if they're smart, it would ruin the whole movie, I suppose. So.
I do suppose that is so. Um, I did like sort of the stuff involving the investigation, even if they sort of revealed what it had, what it was literally in the opening scene. I think they could have preserved the sort of reveal of what actually happened to her a lot more efficiently
Hmm.
by not opening with the main or secondary antagonist who sort of was the one who kidnapped her. We opened
Right.
with her and her crazy god or demon guy. And it's like we could have saved that. We did not need
Yeah.
that so early. I
Mm,
think that being
okay.
so early actively harmed the film, but for what
All
it's
right.
worth,
And so, what kind of rating would you give it?
I'd say like a 7 out of 10. Like I did enjoy the film despite my gripes with it because again, I liked the dynamic between the family members. I liked the progressive escalation. It's definitely one of the most repulsively like graphic and gnarly films I've ever seen in terms
Mm,
of the violence. Again, it probably was more a decent chunk of it was just gore for gore's sake, but like for
yeah.
what
Okay.
it's worth, I it was I had quite a few visceral reactions to it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that I literally watched yesterday. So,
All right. So, The Mummy. All right. Interesting title.
yeah.
So.
I think I might have mentioned this already, but I don't remember, so I'm going to say it again. But because of the test screenings, Lee Cronin didn't actually want this to be associated with the Mummy. The more he developed it,
Hmm.
he pushed for them to change the title to The Resurrected, but the studio, or studios plural, I believe, did not give him that. They,
Yeah. Well, they know that just by calling it a mummy movie, more people are going to come.
yeah, although it's also the stories of the test screenings going terribly have been impressively like I've seen
Yeah.
those over a year ago, the first reports about the test screenings going so poorly.
Did he modify it at all after test screenings, or we don't know?
I'm not sure because it obviously is still not a mummy movie. Like if you want your like Indiana Jones, Brendan Fraser swashbuckling adventure type movie, then you're going to want to wait for the forthcoming The Mummy 4 coming out in 2028 with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Okay.
They're doing another one of those.
All right. What's old is new again.
I guess so.
All right. Let's talk about Star Wars time then.
We got a couple things here.
Yeah. So we got a new trailer for Mandalorian.
Yes, The Mandalorian and Grogu released its final trailer as well as a bunch of posters because ticket
Yeah.
pre-sales are now live.
Did you get your
Uh,
tickets yet?
yes.
Okay. All right. What do we think after the trailer?
Um, I think there is more to sort of latch on to here. This film's definitely struggled in the marketing department for a while, and I think that could hurt it in the long run, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, the biggest gripe I had with the first teaser trailer is absolutely nothing in that trailer sold me on this needing to be a movie. It
Yeah.
looked, it didn't look like they'd up the visual style or the set pieces or anything.
Right.
Um,
You mean versus a TV show? Just look like another two-parter of the TV show.
yeah, it was like this is just an extended glorified TV special.
Yeah.
This trailer's finally, the more we've learned about sort of the behind the scenes of this film, the more I'm still skeptical from a story department. I don't know what the hell the plot is supposed to be here.
Hmm.
There's nothing in the trailers, even this newest trailer story-wise, that I'm like overly like this doesn't feel like a proper escalation of
Yep.
the series, but it
Yeah.
totally, I think what makes this new trailer work is we get a little bit more insight into where we're going with the characters, which there's more hints of a character arc for Din in this trailer than there was in the entire third season of his show. So,
Okay.
for the first time since Mando season two, Din Djarin's going to actually get something resembling a character arc. So, that's fun. Um, It looks like the primary character-based arc is going to be sort of you see Din and Sigourney Weaver's character, Colonel Ward's, both address the fact, which they have not really talked about much in the show, but they're finally starting to address the fact that Grogu is going to live for hundreds of years, and
Right.
Din is not going to live that long because he is a human. His
Yeah.
lifespan is not that long. And he's finally starting to realize it looks like it's almost going to be the thing that it looks like we're getting here is that Din and Grogu sound like they're going to be split up for most of the film,
Hmm.
or at least a portion of the film. You see them getting separated. You see Din getting captured by the Hutts and Grogu going on his own adventure. And you see Grogu coming into his own a little more. You see him sort of becoming more capable with his force powers and
Hmm.
with sort of just his combat training. I mean, yeah, he's functionally a toddler, but he's capable of protecting himself a little more. And you sort of see Din thinking about and sort of really dealing with the fact that he has to teach him to be able to protect himself because he won't be there to protect him forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which, again, forcing them to split up is really going to further them. And I think that's kind of interesting because for Grogu in particular, he's not really been that much of a character. I mean, we got a couple moments in The Mandalorian season three that sort of started to make him into more of a character than a plot device, which has
Hmm.
been more of a plot device and a character device for Din in The Mandalorian. But it looks like we're finally going to try and make him an actual, like, independent, functioning character.
Hmm.
And maybe it's almost a coming of age story for him. Um,
Yeah. That is
Also,
interesting. They kept them as a toddler for so long, to be
yeah,
honest. But
the way that's with the way that Yoda's species ages is kind of interesting because we're not entirely sure how it works in Return in either Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Yoda said that he'd been training Jedi for 800 years, which means he was 900 in the film, so that means he should have been a master by 100. So
right.
unless they and Grogu at this point is in his early to mid 50s, so again,
He's got a long way to go to become a master.
yeah, so unless they have some like crazy growth spurt in like their 60s or something, I don't know. Or if aging with the species is just kind of not depicted consistently, I'm again not entirely sure.
Yeah, I guess maybe the movie will tell us more about it, but yeah.
Yeah, because I think introducing this character definitely harmed a little bit of the Yoda mythology because now we have contradictions in how they
Yeah. Well, and it just seems so weird to have any being be a toddler for 40, 50 years. I mean,
Yeah, because he looked exactly the same in his flashback, which took place 30 something years earlier.
Yeah, well, and here's a being that's supposed to be one of a dominant force in the world, and yet for 40 or 50 years they're super vulnerable, you know?
Yeah, and for what
Like
it's
how do they even get out of their childhood?
I mean, for what it's worth, he's already clearly very strong with the Force,
Yeah.
untrained but strong. And
Hmm.
you do see him more aggressive and more sort of untrained in the earlier seasons, but by season three, you see him more. You see even that little bit of training that Luke helped him with. He's coming to his own a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think we're going to finally see more of that. I'd also like to note that the cinematography and visuals look a lot better now than they did in that first teaser.
Hmm.
I'm again still not entire. I what I appreciate is that they're not relying on the volume technology, which they've used as a crutch almost in most of the Disney Plus shows, including Mando. And you can tell like it gets really bad. Like that technology is not meant to be used so extensively, and yet they
What
will.
does that technology do?
So it's like a giant screen almost that surrounds an entire room,
Okay.
which works for small scale scenes, but when you're doing larger scale sequences, it just becomes clunky. This film, however, has prioritized real sets and practical effects, extensive practical effects, lots of aliens,
Hmm.
which I appreciate. I really do appreciate them going old school for this because it looks a lot better now. Again, especially with this third trailer. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sold on the plot yet, but all we
Okay.
really know is that Din is working for the New Republic now, hunting Imperial war criminals, and this mission sends him to rescue the Hutts, or not to rescue, a mission to the Hutt homeworld of Nal Hutta to
Hmm.
presumably rescue Jabba the Hutt's son Rada from being captured by other members of Jabba's clan who want to usurp his empire, which doesn't entirely make sense because they did an entire show about Boba Fett usurping his empire. But you know what? We're gonna ignore the weird lore things here because I don't think they thought that far ahead. Although Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni basically show ran Boba Fett, so they made it. How do they not remember?
They forgot.
They forgot their own show.
All right. Well, it sounds like we got a lot to learn when the movie comes out. When's it come out again?
May 22nd.
All right. We don't have too long to wait.
Yeah, next month. First Star Wars movie in the theaters in 7 years. It's been all TV shows since The Rise of Skywalker.
Crazy.
Would this have been my first pick for the first movie in years? No, probably not. But you know, wanted to start, I guess.
You gotta get what you get.
We'll
All
see
right,
how.
let's talk about Maul. Episodes
Of
5 and 6. Did you watch them this morning?
course, I watched him.
And what do you think?
This is both the show at its best and at its worst. It is doubling down on my biggest issues with it, but also doing all of the other things right.
What were your biggest issues?
Well, I mean, other than the pacing being way too fast, I do think this one in episode five particularly slows down a bunch. Last week ended with Lawson's partner, Droid Two Boots, calling the Empire. So now
Mhm.
we're dealing with the Imperial takeover of this world and them realizing that the Empire is not just coming to support the investigation, they're coming to lock down and completely take over the planet.
All
And
right.
you see them sort of doing that. You see them go into the police headquarters and interrogate the freaking chief of the police. And
Yeah.
it is implied they tortured and executed her off screen. Um,
All right. So the pacing was better in 5.
Yeah, because this episode five is not action focused at all. It is all character and world stuff,
Okay.
where we sort of see a little bit of, again, the Empire taking over. We see what they do. Uh, we follow Captain Lawson again, and see him get called in for interrogation as well, in which he's interrogated by not only did the Empire bring legions upon legions of stormtroopers, but they've brought with them the Inquisitor Merrick who previously appeared in live action in the Ahsoka series. He's a
Okay.
lot more intimidating and effective here. He didn't really do much in Ahsoka. He was there for a couple fight scenes and then he died, but
Hmm.
Here, this
Okay.
is 30 years earlier timeline wise, so he's a lot younger and a lot more terrifying.
Okay.
You see him sort of in that interrogation. He's very sort of physically imposing. Like he uses that sort of physicality and sort of just the terror inflicted by this like faceless mask, this armored, cloaked individual.
Hmm.
Like he uses that, and Lawson is a pretty resilient guy because he still manages to not at all mention the fact that he saw two Jedi and let them off the hook, which the Inquisitors are Jedi killers. That's their job. They're not here for, they don't know about the Jedi at this point. That's why they only sent one Inquisitor, because at the moment they only know about Maul. Um,
Okay.
but you see sort of the Jedi
And
character.
what was the plot in six?
Um, I only covered the opening like 10 minutes of five. I didn't even cover the whole episode. I haven't even discussed the whole episode yet, but with through the rest of five, we follow the Jedi characters, Devin and Daki,
Hmm.
who are at this point they helped the police try to subdue Maul to no avail. And now they're on the run and realizing that their lives are now a lot harder that now that the Empire's here on the pretense that they are basically considered war criminals marked for death basically just by existing.
Hmm.
And so they are at this point desperately trying to find a way off world, but the Empire is locking down any and all spaceports and checking everyone's identification, which they are desperately trying to avoid until a
Hmm.
stormtrooper pulls them aside, tries to get their identification. Master Daki mind tricks him, basic Jedi stuff. But one thing that I know a lot of people have complained or just mentioned is kind of unrealistic is when a stormtrooper gets mind tricked, even if they're surrounded by other stormtroopers, the other stormtroopers don't realize anything is up. But not this time. Another stormtrooper's like, yo, did you just let them off the hook with no ID? And they immediately realize that yeah, maybe the strat's not working. So they end up on the run and they end up thinking the only safe place they can go is to Captain Lawson's. So the episode ends is at Lawson's apartment. Lawson gets back after a very long and very stressful day in which they've kept him in a holding chamber in his own police office for several hours with man wants nothing more than a coffee right now, or a
Hmm.
calf as they're called in Star Wars. But he goes back home to find his son and the two Jedi he let off the hook in the last episode. That's where episode five ends. Six, I mean, we get a little montage of Maul sort of just training and messing around with his lightsaber before finding out that the Inquisitors or a single Inquisitor is on site. And then we cut back to
Hmm.
Lawson's apartment. Lawson's like, yo, I let you off the hook because I'm not a bad guy, and I know you didn't all betray the Empire or whatever, the Republic or whatever, but I can't be harboring you. I don't like the Empire. I don't like what they're doing, and I trust you guys. But also, he's got a kid. He's got a kid. He can't be caught harboring a war criminal because his mom's out of the picture. I mean, she's still
Yeah.
alive and still in contact with them, but she's also works for the Empire, so which is implied to be the reason that they split. But
So yeah, he's got a problem.
yeah, he's got a problem, and the problem escalates incredibly quickly because right as he's like, "Yo, you gotta leave," Merrick, being the theatrical clown that he is, decides that he's going to cut the door open with his lightsaber instead of knocking like a reasonable person. So he cuts the door open, pushes the door open. Mind you, he does not even know the Jedi are here yet. Like at this point, he's
Hmm.
hunting Maul. He found Lawson's apartment. He's here to talk to Lawson because he thinks Lawson lied during his interrogation.
Hmm.
But like again, he's all for theatrics and intimidation. But I imagine him cutting the door down at this point was just out of spite for lying to him.
Yeah.
But he cuts down the door and finds a lot more than he expected. And when he finds the two Jedi, they fight. The Jedi fight Merrick in the apartment. It's actually a pretty interesting fight because we don't really get too many fights that are in these cramped little closed quarters environments like an apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even indoor fights are usually in more wide spaces, but this is very cramped. Like this is a very tiny apartment that's barely enough room for these two people to live in.
Hmm.
And you see this fight and you see them sort of taking advantage of the sort of just everything scattered throughout the apartment, the
Yeah. The
furniture and
space.
stuff,
Yeah.
to sort of keep distance almost from Merrick. You see
Yeah.
them sort of taking advantage of what's around them, which I do really appreciate about this entire episode. because this episode is like breakneck fast. Like this episode is very, very fast compared to the previous episode. Um,
Hmm.
so the Jedi and Lawson's son all escape. Lawson, when more stormtrooper reinforcements come in, he finally starts shooting at them. So now he's on the run too. He was a police
Hmm.
captain and now he's a fugitive because he shot at some stormtroopers. They hijack a gunship. They attempt to escape, but they get shot down. So Lawson goes to his like contact who owns the casino to try and get off world, but the Empire tracks him there very quickly. So that breaks out, more stormtroopers come in, and then Lawson and Master Docky get separated from Devin and Lawson's son.
Hmm.
Devin and Lawson's son go to this like subway station underground, or it's like this hover train. They take a moment to catch their breath, but Merrick has caught up to them. So she tries to fend off Merrick while Lawson's son gets on the. She tells Lawson's son to get on the train. She fends off Merrick. She eventually goes on the
Hmm.
cops on the train too, but Merrick catches up to him. Catches up to them. So they fight on the train. He is not even really trying, but still doing better. So Merrick is dominating this fight, and at the end of the day, he's still only really here for Maul. The Jedi are like an extra prize.
Yeah, secondary, yeah.
And Maul, who has been tracking them, then emerges, and we have a two-on-one fight between Devin, now reluctantly working with Maul to fight Merrick, because again, at the end of the day, they've got a common enemy.
Yeah.
They push Merrick onto the last cart of the train, and then they separate it, leaving him behind. And
Hmm.
then Maul's all like, "So, do you really not trust me anymore? We're on the same side. See, we've got the same enemy." And that's sort of where the episode ends. But notice how I didn't actually talk about Maul himself very much,
Yeah.
which is my biggest issue with this show, which they keep proving. Which, I mean, I don't mind focusing on the other characters. They're interesting and all. Like, I like these other characters, but for a show called Maul Shadow Lord, this show feels very just uninterested in getting into the psyche of Maul or even really focusing on him.
Yeah. And I
Like,
know from the beginning, yeah, you wanted to see what makes Maul Maul.
yeah,
And
like I want to get into the psyche. Like we have our chance to explore a villain-centric series. So
yeah.
I want to get it as and a villain who does not change, who stays stuck in his ways, craving nothing more than revenge his entire life, being
Yeah.
gripped by rage and anger. I want to get into that head. I want to learn more. I want to
And
see
if they
more.
didn't want to go into that, why'd they call it Maul? Give it another name then or something, you know?
I mean, my best guess is that people like Maul, so they're like, yeah, Maul's going to be a pretty big part of the show. And people
Yeah.
like Darth Maul, so we'll call it Darth Maul. We'll call it the Maul Show. People will watch it because they like Maul. And it's like he doesn't feel like the protagonist of his
Well,
own
this
show.
is just like your movie, The Mummy. They wanted to call it The Mummy because people will go see it, but it has nothing to do. It's not The Mummy.
Yeah.
So
It's like this
same
is
trouble.
it's like we could do so much with Maul's character here. Like we could
Yeah.
get into the head of this guy who is relatively unchanging and figuring out why he is the way he is, but they just feel generally uninterested in actually like
Well, and it doesn't feel like because what 10 episodes they're gonna do.
yeah, we're up to six now.
Yeah, so they only got 4 episodes, and it's gonna be very tough to finish the story of these other characters and get it to the head of Maul. So
Especially with the breakneck pace they're going at,
yeah.
because we've got um 4 episodes left and we haven't kind of an idea of what's coming. Because the episode actually ends with a scene of Merrick talking to a hologram who is off frame, but we're
Hmm.
all pretty sure it's Vader. In the marketing, we see another Inquisitor from the Tales of the Jedi animated series called the 11th Brother. He did not
Hmm.
appear this week, so I assume
He's
that
got to be coming.
yeah, I assume that because Merrick, I assume was sent alone because he was assuming he was just dealing with Maul,
Right.
not Maul and two Jedi too.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, okay, this is a little more than I bargained for. Let's send me another guy. Back me up here.
yeah.
So I
All
assume
right. Well,
that.
I guess we'll see what happens in the next couple episodes. So,
Yeah, only two
all
more.
right. Well, let's sort of wrap up for the week. Next week we got a few items on the agenda here. TV Talk Invincible season 4.
Yes, that's been very good so far. One more episode of that. The season finale airs on Wednesday.
All
Will
right.
have already aired by the time this episode premieres, but that's going to be fun.
All right. And you're going to be seeing Michael. When's that come out?
Friday. It'll already be out by the time this episode airs, and
Yeah.
I will already have seen it by that point.
Yeah. It looks like it could be decent. So, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see
got,
how that goes.
got potential. I hope it doesn't fall into like the stereotypes for like the music biopic. Like really get into the head of this character. Don't just be a best hits moment of his life. Really get into like deal with the
Yeah.
good and the bad.
We'll see how much of the story it tells. But yeah.
And it's presumably going to be have a sequel because they realized he has too much of a too interesting life to.
Well, he's got a lot. He's also got a lot of music. So,
Supposedly, this movie only goes up to his bad tours, which is in I think the 80s. So
oh, really? So you know they already got a sequel planned?
they in the film was initially slated to premiere over a year ago. They delayed
Mhm.
it extensively, and the rumors, which we've been hearing these rumors since last CinemaCon, was that we believe what happened is that they shot the movie and they realized they literally had too much story and too much footage to be a
Mm,
single movie. They can't
got
squeeze
it.
it into one movie. They can't do his story justice with a single film.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens, I suppose. But yeah,
Supposedly
he got
they
pretty weird after that tour, I'll say.
I do think that'd be more interesting though, because with people who go sort of kooky and have more controversial stories, I feel like that's almost more interesting than just being another best hits montage musician biopic like they always do. Like they've become so formulaic that people will straight up complain if your music biopic is too similar to other music biopics. It's like, do something different. Don't just be a best hits reheated nachos
Yeah.
for different
I
artists.
don't know, but he got so weird after that that yeah, I don't know. If you want an uplifting story, it's like, yeah, he went from nothing, got out of his family, made it big on his own, and then he went crazy. So that's a different story, but
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see. All right, so we'll talk about Michael, and we got episode 7 and 8 of Maul. So yeah, another busy week next week. So
only four more episodes of Maul, so we're going to be getting into the heat of like
yeah,
Fire and Inquisitor stuff, and maybe they'll finally fulfill their promise of actually focusing on the title character.
I don't know.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good week. So thanks. And that's a wrap.
That is, in fact, a wrap.
All right. Bye, everyone.